for us a leeway. Right now, we know that the executive can be impeached. So it's up to the citizenry to look for mechanisms that can impeach the presidency. And I have seen Morara say that he is looking for one member of parliament who can introduce a motion for the impeachment of the presidency. I've just seen that tweet on Morara's post right now. So they have given us, they have opened the way for the impeachment of the executive. They have also shown us that parliament is under the executive control, because if 281 members of parliament can vote out to impeach a president without even digesting what Rigiji had to say. Remember, this man was invited to parliament and he spoke, but it was not debated. After Rigiji spoke, his lawyers were introduced, the minority and majority leader made their submission, and then they went straight to voting. They did not canvass what Rigiji had to say. So members of parliament approved that they vote out of partisan interest, not on the facts on the ground. And it is very interesting to listen to what the members will have to say about this. But I feel that this is a good thing for Gen Z, especially for democracy, because they have shown us that it is possible. Impeachment is possible. Now it's just IBC to be enacted, and we start the process, Tony Gashoka. So thank you very much for the time, and I'm willing to see what some of the people have to say. I'm seeing Liza, and I'm seeing Daniel, I'm seeing Mweru. So let's see what people have to say about this. Thank you very much for the time.
Yeah, Maribox, continue to open the mic before I make a contribution. You can choose the speaker.
Oh, thank you very much. So I'm seeing Daniel. Daniel, are you there? I'd like to hear what you have to say on this topic. Thank you.
Yeah, I am. I always like listening to Gashoka, especially the last speech he was talking about how Raila basically betrayed his hope and how they trusted him. And part of me is scared, to be honest. I never used to think, when you're growing up, you never really see the value or the damage that politics does to your life. But now as I've grown up, because we used to be clueless children and we never really saw what politics does. And right now I'm realizing that we are ushering in an incredibly evil human being that, from what I see, he wants to recreate Moi's days. I think Gashoka and the other guys who are older, I used to hear stories from my uncle about Moi days and how everything was basically stagnated. And you can even see it. There's an entire generation of adults in Kenya whose futures were stagnated. That's our parents' generations. Guys who grew up in Moi's days, a vast majority of them didn't do much. And that was by design. You have, because there's no way, I hope you will not, I hope that the kitten will not interrupt. But if I am a dictator, I think the worst thing that can happen to a dictator is to have a thriving middle class. So you're definitely going to have, he's going to stagnate most of our futures so that we don't threaten him. That means the only businesses that will succeed will be the businesses that either he can thrive in, or no new billionaires will be created unless the ones that are in his circle. No new millionaires will be created unless the ones that are in his circle. And he's basically going to have the power to manipulate all big industries, education, and this thing scares me. And the fact that the employees are trading it all for 500,000 shillings. Even me, I'm not a millionaire, but 500,000 shillings for the future of my children. I don't understand it. I just, part of me is scared and part of me is incredibly confused also.
So yesterday, the National Assembly voted a motion to impeach Rigathi Gachagua. On the face of it, a lot of Kenyans thought that this was a contest between the ODM, a new entry into government, and the rearranging of power. By yesterday evening, discussions were underway that when Kindiki is sworn in, the new Minister for Interior will be DG Nyoro of Murang'a, so that Ruto can begin to counter the failure in the mountain. The question today, as I welcome Mweru here to co-host, is this the beginning moves and the beginning stages of absolute dictatorship in Kenya and tyranny?
Yeah, thank you. Morning. It's morning here. It's 4 a.m. Yeah, I do agree with this. I think he's already an Idi Amin based on what we're observing. Just the fact that he has the audacity to basically caption all the MPs who are supposed to be the voice of the people. Just the fact that he's managed to manipulate the scene in Kenya to where now we're impeaching the vice president, even after Kenyans went on the streets and basically wanted him to go. But now he's manipulated the landscape to where now he's just playing games with everybody. He's already a dictator. So I think, in my perspective, yeah, he's already won. I don't think anybody else has any authority to do anything. Yeah, that is my take on this. He's already a dictator.
For younger people who may know now of Museveni and Kagame, where I think Museveni is now on his 6th or 7th term, can this parliament pass just anything Ruto wants? Daniel, I want you to, before I bring Maribox, can this parliament pass anything that Ruto wants?
Yeah, you see, it's a parliament of money. And if since they've shown us anyone can be bought, I mean, if I was them, I would ask for more money because I'm thinking a million shillings, 500,000. I mean, 100,000. I'm just thinking their price is so low that it's so easy for a mega billionaire to do it. So yeah, it can, because he doesn't even need all of them. He just needs most of them, and most of them have shown that they can be bought. Right? So yeah, he can actually do that, and he has the money to do it.
So Mweru and Maribox, I want to make some comments, but I want you to open the plenary first to hear what some other people are saying.
Yeah, Tony, remember, for a dictator, the first thing that you have to show the people, especially the ruling class, is that you are strong. And I think apart from the money issue, William Ruto has shown the ruling class that they are safe under him. He has protected them against the DPP, against the EACC. And even when you had the charges against Rigathi Gachagua, you saw a letter that was being brought by that he had been dismissed of his services earlier, and the ethics and anti-corruption did nothing against it. So for a dictator first, apart from the money incentive, you have to show that you will protect the ruling class no matter what. And I think this is the protection that everybody is seeking, that all these parliamentarians are seeking. But I would like to hear what Lyson has to say about this. Lyson, welcome to the speaker panel. Lyson, are you there?
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Tony, and all the people in this space. I mean, the question is it's quite a straightforward question. We have a worse person than Idi Amin. You remember Idi Amin didn't have a PhD. He had the PhD of the bush. This one has a PhD of the street, or rather the Harvard of the street. Ruto believes in three things. Number one, money. Number two, money. Number three, money. He doesn't have any respect for human blood. He can kill, he can eliminate, he can abduct, he can do anything for money and land. So we are dealing with a very, very dangerous situation here. And I support the motion that his mental faculties must be checked, because I don't really think the person is in good shape for the kind of suicidal things he's doing and the kind of blatant arrogance of saying there's no abduction, saying he has those people who are terrorists. I mean, dismissing everything. He's a sociopath who believes in his own lies. So we are dealing with a dangerous character. And I think, and I'm sorry to say this, that we are in the blink of a civil war. Those of us who have an idea of what kind of person we're dealing with, it's not going to be an easy struggle. I can see all the Gen Zs are being scattered left and right.
So I want to ask the question, as you say that is important. I want to bring in Josephine, and I want to ask her. There's been this question I've been raising of Kalonzo Musyoka and the opposition getting together with Gen Z, that it's time for all hands on deck, that we stop our infighting to broaden the opposition and to say, can Kalonzo rise up? Can the Gen Z and Kalonzo get together? Josephine, how are you this afternoon?
Fine, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gashoga, for hosting this space. Good afternoon, fellow Kenyans, from wherever you are listening. Yes, the question is yes, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka can join up the JCs. However, right now, what President Ruto is doing is very simple. He's trying to ensure that he does paralyze each and every community and every group of leadership that is mounting up and using their own people to destroy their own leaders so that he will ever remain there. And one thing I want to say, which very many Kenyans are not seeing right now, is actually what Ruto is doing to Mount Kenya. It's very simple. He's using the people of Mount Kenya to destroy their own leadership and everything for themselves. Then after that, he will pick other people who have lesser popularity in the community. Now eventually he will achieve what he wants, because what he is trying to do is to ensure that there shall not be these big numbers which are threatening anytime we come for an election. We have the Mount Kenya carrying the highest numbers of votes, and given that they are also very much conversant with the importance of voting. That's what Ruto is trying to bring down, and where many people do not see that. On the other hand, Ruto is trying to ensure that, first and foremost, come 2027, there will be no elections. Reason being, remember, the Constitution, it's very clear that for any IBC to sit up and restructure elections for whatever reasons, they should have been in the office for not less than 2 years. Now, as we are seated here right now, as we are speaking, we have only less than 6 months, and now we will be having only 2 years to election. And that means if the IEBC will not be constituted before next year, May, then we can count no elections 2027. Now, if you look at what Ruto is doing,
so I want to, Josephine, I want to stop you there as I bring in Mweru and then open the plenary. I wanted to ask the question, because this has happened and the country has seen the fear of Ruto. The country is discussing Ruto. Anguka driver, Anguka Makanga. Do you think this is an opportunity, Mweru, that we refocus on Ruto and ignore the diversion of Gachagua? How do we refocus?
I think we need to. It's time for all hands on deck. I mean, I've mentioned this before. We saw what happened in the US. We impeached Trump twice. It did not change anything. He's still able to run for office. Gachagua, I'll be very surprised if they actually impeach him. He still has to go to the Senate, and then he's probably going to challenge this in court. I think this is a very well-crafted distraction that is going to last for at least, I would say at the most, at least 3 to 4 months of just severe destruction. So yeah, I do agree. This is not headed anywhere. It's a waste of energy. It needs to be all hands on deck to get Ruto out.
Mweru, could you open the plenary?
Yeah, so I have Ras G, followed by Lizon, then Daniel. Josephine already spoke, and then we'll have Declan.
Thank you, Mweru, and I'm glad Joyce Tony is here. And first, let me. William Ruto started showing the signs of being a dictator way back when we were just somewhere 1918, when we were in Jubilee. And from the onset, I would want to make it clear even to Tony Gashoka, I did disagree with William Ruto philosophy of doing things. So it's good, it's very true that William Ruto at the moment is preparing himself to stay in power. And for that reason, he has thrown everything to parliament so that it can extend his term in office. William Ruto has no plans of respecting the constitution, and this is just a matter of time before we get vindicated. I had Tony ask, is Kalonzo likely to join GNZ? As we speak right now, Tony Gashoka, my good friend, already GNZ are battling another episode of several fallout of the leaders. Let me put it, because William Ruto is a very shrewd and a very calculative politician. Na yeye ujipanga mbali sana. You saw it. He did it with Uhuru Kenyatta. He's the kind of person who will use one of you, because even the playbook that Gachagua wants to use now.
Now, Usikate your thought. I want you to continue, but there's a reason I'm calling this space, because you know I can telephone Kalonzo after we speak today. So what I'm asking you understand? I want to intervene, but because I have never been more scared about our country than what I saw yesterday. So today I really want Kenyans to talk to me and take it from me. I'm going to take this matter up.
Okay. Tony, if you get a chance of meeting Kalonzo, tell him at this particular juncture and at this particular time, the country is very desperate. The country yearns for leadership, and the immediate challenge that the people or the masses find themselves, because what happened after the finance bill, there was this sudden movement of a new Kenya. There was this sudden call for a new Kenya. Remember, it started with the finance bill, and then all of a sudden people realized, no, we can get rid of this guy out of office, and that's why the calls of Ruto must go started. But then again, like you have put it here, and a dictator will prepare. We dropped the guard, and suddenly William Ruto has again metamorphosed and has again amejipanga. Now the worst fear is, are the GNZ, are these people who are currently now being divided one by William Ruto?
I want to talk about that a bit, and then I really want you to stay on the space. I'm a big supporter of the Gen Zs, and I want to tell Kenyans not to worry when young people make mistakes. When I was in my 20s, fighting for the freedom of this country, we made many mistakes. I mean, some of us were divided, some of us fell along the way. It is a normal process of attrition. Do not buy the propaganda, because the majority of Kenyans are united that Ruto must go. Do not focus on the mistakes, focus on the successes. The fact that this country has now forced Raila Odinga to be a passenger, to become an escort of William Ruto. Continue before I bring in, I wanted Mweru to really move on the mic, because I have a few things to say, and then I want to bring in Kalonzo Musyoka today into the spaces for everyone Kenyan to hear him. But first of all, I just want to hear what you have to say, but I want Mweru to move around the mic. Yeah.
Okay, so Rasji, if you're done, I'll go to Liaison for at least 4 minutes, every person.
Let me land, Mweru. Let me finish. Let me land. Now, I would want to ask Gashoka, because this puts a spotlight to our institution. What William Ruto is doing today, he is using our institution. He is deliberately mutilating our constitution. We know very well Parliament is supposed to be an independent institution. It has become a stooge of somebody. We know very well what he has done with the DCI. We know what he has done with these other institutions. There is a lot of political interference. And as you bring in your friend to the Nini, it is my urge, and it is also my prayer that people can unite, because without unity, there is no way William Ruto will go out of power. Right now, as we speak, William Ruto tentacles in terms of connection, in terms of, I think, he has grown his network because of the impunity and the corruption that he has managed to amass a lot of wealth that I believe will also be another factor yenye atatupa kwa field wakati atakuwa challenged. So let me land by just saying that, please.
Thank you, Rasji. Next is Lizon. Lizon, please proceed for the next 4 minutes, please.
Okay, thanks, Mweru. Yeah. I mean, on the question of making mistakes, it is apparently true. I mean, it's obviously, and it was expected, that Gen Z did a wonderful thing to his country that is going to change the dynamics of the politics in Kenya, because they organize themselves using technology and using loving the country, and pulled a move that nobody has ever pulled in the past. That will go down in history and is respected. Unfortunately, as usual, with age comes experience. So, of course, they lack the political expediency to proceed with these murky waters of politics, and that is expected. So we are in phase 2 now, where Ruto is technically trying to dismantle the formations, both parliament, both institutions, and both public, and in all these spaces. And that is expected. But unfortunately, the gods are against him. So phase 3 is that people will consolidate and will take over power from him.
So I want you to contribute on how do we bring all hands on deck? How do we build from the success, as you said there? How do we do it from here on?
Tony, for me, is very clear that the older hands must come in strongly, and they have to change their tact. Kalonzo must stop being at the top and expecting any endorsement that he has been expecting before. I have no issue with Kalonzo as a person, but he must come out that strong person that fights for the people, and stop complaining.
I want you to address something there. Can I ask you a question? You know, I don't know Kalonzo in terms of, other than he's my friend, but does this country reach a point where Ruto, unless we find a common ground, unless we all now stop saying, you know, we want Okio Mtata, or we want Mulala, or we want Tony Gashoka, or we want who, has the time come now for us to start coming together against Ruto? To build a viable coalition against Ruto Baba? You saw ODM was leading. The biggest voices of ODM were leading the impeachment yesterday. There is no longer a cooperation agreement. This is a full-blown coalition.
And Tony, I support you 100%. Is the fact that now is everybody trying to pull their side and trying to make sure they can wreck the other parties. Clearly, ODM was not there to support Ruto's quest, and Ruto has a different agenda, and he's trying to dangle the carrot. ODM basically do not want a strong person in Mount Kenya for the next election, and a person who has his own means. And of course, that's one of the reasons why Gachagua had all these mob justice around him politically. Going forward, I am really a proponent that we must be able to use experience and expedience in this game. There's no way Gen Zs in their own way can be able to deal with the formation of Ruto as it is at the moment. But with the support of older hands, this can be achieved. And this is why I'm saying that Kalonzo must come down and make his own broad-based political approach.
I want you to land there. I want you to land there because you're sending me. Mweru, I want you to continue passing the mic. I want everyone to know I did not sleep well yesterday, and I'm going to use my connections. We must bring this country together. Otherwise, we are finished. And I want you to understand, I want to do something today and make sure we bring together Gen Z and the political class against Ruto.
So the next person to speak is Daniel. And while you're here, please invite on this space so they can be included in this conversation. So please invite the other Gen Zs that we need everybody here so we can come up with a plan.
Oh yeah. Okay. First of all, I have a question for the Tony Gashoka and then the guys who usually go to courts to like protect the country against excesses of the government. Where does IEBC come into all this? Is it even a viable option? Is it a waste?
That's actually a good point, and that's part of the conversation with the Kalonzos and the rest. What happened with IBC is the following: Kalonzo Musyoka objected to the nominee that had been done by Azimio on behalf since Ruto. So when Ruto appointed the selective committee or the selection committee, a nominee was brought in to represent the opposition. And that nominee, given what Raila is doing with the government, the opposition rejected that nominee. So that matter went to court. So what is happening is that the system is delaying the court case to decide who is going to be nominated by the opposition, who's the opposition to appoint the person in the select committee that will now appoint the commissioners. So part of the problem that we are having now is because instead of matching and helping Kalonzo achieve the person we need, let's, for example, decide that today we wanted Oki Mtata to be the person in the select committee. Then it's us to tell Kalonzo that the person we trust to determine who can be a credible electoral commissioner is Oki Mtata. But we are not having a conversation with Kalonzo. We are fighting everybody. And so Ruto is using the space to grow. I don't want to over-dominate. I wanted Mweru to continue passing the mic, but I wanted to let you know about the IBC. And one of the problems we are having is that we need an effective opposition to get some of these things done.
Okay, I also wanted to continue. Thank you, Gashoka.
Please continue, yes.
Yeah. Because because the question that kept ringing in my head is the IBC one, because people are pushing for us to form it so that you can recall MPs, etc. But again, I do not see that as a viable way to go, because all the MPs will do, they will just gang up. Because the minute you threaten them together, they will gang up like the same way the gazelles gang up when a lion shows up. So I don't think that is so. What I'm wondering is,
do you think if we had a rally in town with Kalonzo and the fallouts of the Ruto regime now, including Gachagua? You remember when Gachagua was falling, he was holding very big rallies in Githurai and everywhere. Do you understand? So my question is, if we add our force to the anti-Ruto forces, the enemy of your enemy is my friend. Are we ready? Is the country ready now from they all must go to let us negotiate?
Personally, that's actually where I was going to get into so that I land. I think what we did not anticipate was that we were not going for a single fight. None of us anticipated we were headed for an actual battle of attrition. What is happening right now with the Moraras and all these guys getting angry is that we were going in for a fight. We were not anticipating an actual war that is going to have battle after battle after battle after battle. And that is what we need to have. We have to have a collective consciousness. Our collective consciousness needs to understand this is not a single fight. This is a war. What is happening right now is that people all of a sudden are realizing, this is not a fight. This is a war. So I think that the people who have great audience, they need to prepare us collectively. We are not here for a fight where we throw a bunch of punches, the guy falls down on the ground, we celebrate, we go home to drink. No, this is a fight where you punch the guy in the ground and hope he doesn't get up, because if he gets up, you're dead. Like, we need to understand this is the guy will get up and walk away. Just because he has walked away from the fight does not mean the fight is done. He will come back to your home at night. So you need to be prepared for the guy. I think having the collective minds of everyone, including especially us who are young, who are not, we've never been thrown into these circles before. So we had this sensational view of, yeah, we've put this guy down, we've put him in his place, he will never do anything but all of a sudden you're realizing, no, this is not a beast you slayed. You've just angered it. And now he's going to come back. So now you need to be prepared for it. Now you need weapons. Now you need forts. Now you need strategies. Now you need soldiers. Like, I think having that collective mindset, that idea drilled into our brains is what is needed right now. But yes, if we rally the forces, the guy is nowhere near powerful enough to resist right now. But if he's allowed to go on, yeah, he will be quite a formidable thing to move.
Thank you, Daniel. As you guys complete, when you land, please drop off from the speaker panel so I can add more speakers to speak. Next, I have Josephine. Josephine, you had already spoken, so please, I'll give you 2 minutes, and then I'll have Declan after you. Josephine, do you hear me? Okay, Declan, please proceed.
Yeah, sure, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
And thank you. Yeah, this is what I wanted to say is I wanted to bring to the attention of the rest of the fellow Kenyans to this issue, whereby I just mentioned prior about the IEBC, and I think that's what we strongly want to bring up. However, we also need to be sensitive about what is really happening to the...
Josephine, it sounds like you dropped off. Please just drop off the speaker panel and try to reconnect again. So Declan, proceed.
Hi, can I be heard?
Yes.
Great. Thanks so much to the guys who have organized the space, to the hosts and to the speakers. I'd like to answer Tony's question about involving Kalonzo before I go on to speak about something else. Now I'm going to speak as a Gen Z who is in this movement and has been in this movement and continues to be in this movement. I'm 24. You see, when I look at somebody, do you know why I respect people like Tony and I respect somebody like Mata Karua and Okia Mutata and this other guy in Canada who was deported? I've forgotten his name. The general. It's because they are here and they are on the ground. You see, we're speaking about Kalonzo as if he's non-existent, like he's a god. It's like he's unreachable. You see, my issue with politicians or the political class and us, I think that the political class can really help us to achieve what we wanted to achieve if they wanted to help us. We have been here. If they wanted to save the country, they've been in politics for years. They could have done it. Gen Z is not a charity case. Don't think because things are going wrong that we won't be able to get things done. That does not mean that I dismiss the council of people who have been in politics for years, like Tony Gashoka and others. I very much recognize and appreciate that council. And I think the views and vantage points that they can bring are important, but only if they bring them in such a way that is to contribute to this movement and in not any way for their own personal gain. I do not understand why it's such a big deal when a political career of somebody comes to an end in this country. Leaders come and go. The death of Rigathi Gachagua as a politician is not the end of the world. Kenya is not Rigathi Gachagua.
I want to ask you a question. Nobody is saying that, and please do not distract this. Just listen to the question. I'm just asking you. You're on the panel, you can speak. I just asked a question. We are asking if Ruto can do whatever he wants, meaning can remove Gachagua, can bring in ODM, can deploy the military. Is this a point of Ruto gaining dictatorial powers? Forget Gachagua. But the question is, if he can do this today, what stops him from extending his term to 7 years and cancelling elections?
No, the simple answer to that is nothing stops it. The issue that I'm trying to put across is that if a political character wants to come in, they need to come in such a way that it has no benefit to them. We are only looking to work with political people who are ready to support this thing at the expense of their own political career. Because that is how we will truly know that you want to help us. If you really want to help us, we have been here, just come and talk to us. And expect there to be backlash. Because you have been there and nothing has been happening. If you've decided to turn over a new
could you address to me the infighting that is now going on? And I'm asking you to contribute positively, because nobody's asked to be nominated by anyone. I've not heard Kalonzo or anyone ask. I'm the one who has asked the question. And I'm asking, do we need all hands on deck? Right now, the so-called Gen Zs are all over the place. There's a young man called Kasmaiko, is it? I saw him now with Raila Odinga. I'm seeing the other one, I don't know where. My question is, why are you talking as though there is an absolute, bunch of angels in Gen Zs and every other Kenyan? So my question is, can we come together, the ones of common purpose? Or to your view, we just let Ruto do what he wants?
Let me not, please do not mistake me. I've not said that the movement of Gen Z and those who are leading it have completely got their stuff together. That is very incorrect. And if I came across that way, that is not what I was trying to say. However, what I am saying is that the people who, if the political class, you see, the issue that we're having with Gen Z is people are so quick to drag people through the mud when they make a mistake. For example, Morara has had one of his soldiers attacked and did not move quickly enough, or people feel like he did not move quickly enough to defend the soldier. But in times of war, as a general, it is very easy to assume that your strongest soldiers are just fine. And I feel like that is the oversight that Morara has had. And that has now brought people to a point where they want to say now they want to kick out Morara. Morara is not God.
Jem, can you come in? Jem, can we have another view?
Thank you so much. I think to answer the question on can we come together and what we must do now, I can draw parallels between the movement, the Gen Z movement, and also how we choose leadership as a country. I think without sounding too much into realism, we must always assume that a human being like you and me, to some extent, will have self-serving tendencies. The idea of benevolent leadership, to me, is a facade. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's something that we must assume to some degree if we're being real with ourselves. So then it comes, I think, in order to build a sustainable movement, a movement that even our children can come after and get the rewards from, we must focus on the institutions. So when it comes even to the type of leadership we are seeing today, right, it's not about likability, because we've seen it time and time again. Today, we know this politician is a bad leader. Tomorrow, we've changed our minds. So it's not sustainable to rely on that. We must now focus on the institutions. Who are the people who are disgracing these institutions that have been set by the leaders that we continue to celebrate in our past? They come to destroy them so that they, or cut the corners or use loopholes so that they can reap rewards from that. So Josephine raised a very pertinent point, which I think should be the next immediate step of action and immediate point of focus, which should be the IEBC. When it comes to the Gen Z movement, yes, we learned from a couple of our failures, and there's one failure we can learn from that movement, which was that we were dismantled because the focus after the finance bill was rejected, we couldn't find a very clear statement to push us through, to keep that kinetic energy. But I'll also say that the classification of Gen Z as a movement is also in itself used to undermine the goals. This is not a Gen Z problem, it's a Kenyan problem. So when we are talking about, because when I say the Gen Z, you think, what do I have to do to qualify as a Gen Z? Is it my age? Is it the way of thinking of that demographic? Is it because they don't have jobs? And so it completely isolates a certain demographic from the rest of the country. But make no mistake, this is a Kenyan problem. And if we are to be successful, we cannot only just sit back and look and say, okay, let's see what the Gen Z will do next. So in terms of coming together, even Tony, the question that you raised about supporting Kalonzo on who he should nominate, I think for me, it's not really about who. It's about the IBC, the institutions, because we will never agree on who. And today we will celebrate Morara, and tomorrow we will put him down. So I think our focus should be, when it comes to the government, let's focus on IBC being reinstated as soon as possible. And when it comes to the movement, let us have a clear description and clear pillars.
I don't want to interrupt you because you're really a good speaker. I've really enjoyed your contribution. I want you to continue, but I need to just clarify a legal problem. That there is a legal provision on how a select panel for appointing the IBC is, how you come to it. And there is a conflict between the nominee that Raila Odinga had given and the one that Kalonzo has given. And that matter is in court.
Yes.
Go on.
So I guess the question now becomes, do we apply more pressure to the courts to fast track this process? Why is it being delayed? Because I think I was watching a video today. I don't know how much credit I can give it. So I'll refer to it quite lightly, of a comment that Joho had made, I think some time back. And when you hear what he's talking about, it's exactly what is happening right now. So I think there's also that shock factor when it comes to what we're seeing today, what is happening. But I think we would be wrong to underestimate that this...
There's something I need your opinion on. Yesterday, Morara Kabiso called me, and I had been advocating for us to petition the Law Society of Kenya to get involved in helping this problem of the IBC Select Committee. And he pointed out to me that right now, since when Raila joined Ruto, even LSK is divided because, everyone has gone political. So it's no longer a united front that it was before Raila went. So he suggested that we petition Mother Kome directly through a petition, and we have strict actions to get the courts to resolve the matter quickly. You can land with that view.
Yeah, I think that's testament to what exactly I'm saying. It's not sustainable in the long run when we start to focus on the individual leadership at any capacity. It starts to be politicized. Personal and individual interests must be served, and all of that. I think that if that is what happened, as you said, it's quite disappointing from a body that we are heavily relying upon right now to do what the representative arm of the government is not doing. I hope that petition directly to Koome works. But yeah, for me, I'll land with IBC is where we should put our focus on right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. When you're done speaking, please just drop off from the speaker panel so I can add new speakers. Next is Hussein, then Moses, then Msema Kweli. Hussein, do you hear me? Okay, Msema Kweli. Moses, go ahead.
Okay. Let me talk on some few issues. Let me start with the IBC issue. The IBC issue, if there is anywhere the Gen Zs want the committee, the committee to be formed or the IBC to be reconstituted, the only thing that can make that possible is to push those people, and the only way it can be done is if the Gen Zs decide to demonstrate, to push that committee to be fully formed. But because now I don't think like there's a way you can push the court. It's the only way you can is to push Ruto and Raila to be serious with that thing. Otherwise, I don't see IBC being formed in this year, or maybe up to maybe 2020 next year or so. But if you want to push it to be formed immediately, then we'll have to organize.
I don't want to interrupt you. I want you to comment on this. Murara called me yesterday, and his view was if I could draft a kind of a petition as he goes around the country, instead of talking about projects, we now start talking about IBC. In other words, we are looking for a solution. So we are saying, is that an important way to change the conversation?
Yeah, I don't know about Morara, but the only way we can do it is if we involve politicians. I don't think Gen Z alone can do it. If we involve people like Kio Mtata, people like Kalonzo Musyoka, who also want the IBC to be formed, I think it will work. But if we go alone like Morara moving around, it will not happen. We need politicians who can easily mobilize and.
So I'm asking. I want to request Kalonzo to a space. Would you support that I bring him to a space?
Yeah, I support that because he's the only person with the numbers who can help us. He has numbers. If we decide that we want now to push, he has also connection in the LSK. If we want his support to push both Ruto and Raila to make sure that the IBC is formed, I think it can work immediately. If we just
yesterday the 44 MPs who voted against the motion, 90% of them were Wiper. And anyway, I just wanted Kenyans to know that maybe this guy, we've been underestimating him, and maybe we need to look for him.
Because anyway, the formation of IBC has stalled not because of Ruto, but mainly because of Azimio are the ones who cannot agree on the person to forward. So that's where
anyway, because I want the mic to move along. What I'm only asking, if we find a compromise between the Kalonzos of this world and the Gen Zs, are we going to maybe now have a way of dealing with Ruto? I'm not telling anyone, but I'm looking at the way Ruto is coming unchallenged and wondering whether we need to rethink about our strategy.
Yeah, that one will absolutely work. Now let me respond to the question: is Ruto the new Idi Amin Dada? I don't think Ruto is per se like a dictator. What Ruto has now shown us is like he's a very shrewd and very smart and he's just a shrewd politician. A politician who, I mean, for us to deal with him, we really have to strategize effectively, and we really need to make sure that our strategies are also top notch, because that guy, the way he's moving, I mean, if we also move the way we are moving, we are likely to collapse ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Moses. I have Rastan, and then I'll have Jamhuri Plus, and then Mariam, and then Kenyan Lady.
Good morning, you guys. No, it's still morning to me here. Okay, Tony and everybody, greetings, good morning. It's not so good, Okay, the things which are happening in our country, no, some things are not working, okay. Ruto ni Idi Amin Dada. Ruto ataua kila mtu, ataua kila kitu. Okay? Are you getting me? The first we react, the first we solve this shit. Seriously. Seriously. Can you guys get the statistics of a week? How many people are being abducted? Where are we gone back to? Hebu niambie tuko 2024, you guys know. Mimi, I'm a father of Gen Z. Mimi ni mtoto wangu last born ako miaka 14, ule mkubwa ako miaka 26, okay? So I'm a GZ father, so I'm in. Na mimi ni Mkenya, okay? So, Ruto akiwa Idi Amin, ni kweli hapo Tony, hapo ni kweli, huu jamaa ameturudisha pale, huu jamaa ameua from when he was born. Zile kuku alikuwa nasema ati alikuwa naziua. Okay, we move from that. Mambo ya ABC, hiyo kwanza ndio first line. First line, we cannot move. We cannot move. ABC lazima tukue naye, na Ruto mwenyewe anajua vile nafanya. Wacha nikuulize wewe Tony, ukuwa president Mwero, ukuwa president, you can authorize everything if you're in favor of people. Tuambia ni kweli.
Kweli kabisa. Ni kweli kabisa. Lakini what I like about your contribution, na wewe unajua jana mimi kama wewe juu ya vile umesema sisi ni wazazi, hatukulala, but history will judge us very poorly if we do not react to this issue. The way Timothy Njoya and Rev Mutava Musimi and the rest did in the 90s. And none of them were politicians. But we need to bring together a force against Ruto. Go ahead.
A force against Ruto is yani kila kitu tutoe all. Check hapa hivi. You guys, you can check what happened jana. Hao watu vile walitokea. Leo hawako. Hebu niambie kama projects zetu zingekuwa zikipushiwa hivyo, and that's what we want. We want people on the front line, watu wenye wanafanya vitu zisababishe, vitu zifanyike. What do we need? If we have our roads, our stadiums, our children are okay, our lives are okay, then still. But if we don't have that, really we cannot stop this shit. And the wheel of revolution isha roll.
Na sasa mimi nakuuliza uniamini mimi nataka unitume kazi. Mimi najitolea. Mimi nitaongea na wazee marika yangu. Umeelewa? Mimi nataka ku bring them on the table. You understand? I want them, the time has come now. Anyway, go ahead.
Hao wazee usinilete watu akina Kalonzo. Hao wazee usinilete hao watu. No. Don't bring me that around my children. Okay? They cannot think again. Because how watu wamekalia hizi vitu, all our progress before we did not have phones. Tony, zamani hatukuwa na simu wakati tulikuwa ma youth. So we were relying on
umesema tuachane nao.
Tuko very alert.
So tuachane nao, nisiongee nao.
Hawa si akina okay, wanaweza kuwa wako karibu na sisi, it's okay when we are moving the wheel of revolution around. Lakini kuna vitu zingine hawawezi pata kutoka kwetu. At the end tunajua, sisi wenyewe tunajua, our youth, watoto wetu wanajua what they want and what we want for our country and for our
my last question to you, najua Mweru atamove mic. Mimi nakuuliza kama huyu jamaa amedeal na Gachagua kama mosquito. Yani huyo jamaa whatever billions na vile amemfanya atatufanya nini Kenyans? Yani ameua over 200 people, ameweka kwa mochari akina Rex na wengine, ameweka army kwa streets, amerudisha cabinet, baba sasa ndio anamfungulia mlango, na wewe unaniambia tusiitane.
Mimi sisemi tusiitane. Mimi nasema sisi wote tunafaa kuwa hapo, lakini vitu zingine lazima tujifanyie style nyingine sisi wenyewe. Vijana ndio tuko, watoto wetu ni wengi kuliko sisi wadada.
I need some more opinions. Endelea na mic. Move the mic.
All right, Jamhuri Plus, you're next, and then I'll have Mariam and Kenyan lady.
Asante sana. I have to comment about, well, I don't know if I have to, but I love the optimism of Moses akisema that we do not have an Idi Amin Dada with us, we just have a shrewd politician. I think I love the optimism. I think it's dangerous. We have hundreds of people dead, so many people missing. We are in the fight of our lives, people. I had breakfast this morning. I had lunch today. So I think my comfort might actually be a danger to the country, right? If I don't step out of it and realize that we are in an existential crisis. What has happened to Parliament not too long ago in June may pass a bill that they knew very well that everybody was against it. They did that in 2023. They went ahead and did that in 2024. That's literally someone poking your eyes. And we have seen what, of course, how they've dealt with Gachagua. Facts don't matter. It's a post-truth parliament. And they will do whatever they've been told by their boss to do. So we don't have a parliament at the moment. You do not have representatives, right? Thanks to Ruto and other people, we don't have an IBC. Ati mtu anasimama kwa parliament anasema ati dereva akikufa country itakufa. So now we've been held hostage that tusipokuwa, we can't remove Ruto, because if we remove Ruto, we don't have IEBC. So we are stuck with him, because otherwise tutakuwa na basket case. But we are already a basket case. I'm telling you, the impunity we've seen over the last several weeks, a Ruto presidency for the next 25 years is something that we need to consider as a real possibility. And the more we keep thinking that ni shrewd politician, we are the proverbial frog in that water that by the time in a boil, we won't know that we are dead, So, given that situation, I couldn't agree more with anybody that says that we need all hands on deck. All hands on deck. Like, anybody that can be for us, we welcome them being for us. That does not necessarily mean that we will coronate them to anything, but however we can strategize together and fight this monster, we got to do it. We really just got to do it. And IEBC is I completely agree here on the first and foremost thing. If we need to rally each other and get on the streets and say IEBC tunaitaka sasa na kama si sasa ni sasa hivi. However we do it, we need to do it. But once again, I want to underscore that we are in the fight of our lives. This is not a joke. That the possibilities of what our country might become, when I close my eyes and think about it, I don't even want to imagine it. There's something Declan had said earlier, though, that those who are with us, tafadhali kujeni. There are those that we have seen coming to these spaces. The Kivude Kibwanas, the Mata Karuas, the Okia Omchachas. So if you're Kalonzo or anybody and you're seriously with us, please, how about you just show up? Are you not seeing the threat that we are seeing? And yes, if you need invitation, Tony, if you can ask him to show up, let him show up.
No, I can. I want to say this. I love your contribution. Please go on. I decided today that I owe the country this space, because we all have different places in life, and I have got the numbers of these people and their confidence. And I've talked to Kalonzo several times, and he fears that if he comes to the spaces, he's going to be insulted and so on. So I've been talking to him. As you know, I've brought Wamalwa several times to the space. But Kalonzo himself is just worried about how people will behave on the spaces. And I've been trying. Anyway, I just want to hear you, and then I'll make a decision.
Yeah.
I think you should invite him, but go ahead, Jamhuri.
Yeah. Quick. I would quickly land by saying that I think he should show up, and I think if there are any insults, I think he should take that with grace. That happens only the first few times, and then people, once you become a regular, you become a regular. So show up not as a muheshimiwa, but show up as part of the movement.
If you look at the people who follow me, you'll see Kalonzo follows me.
Right.
So I can assure you that every time Tony Ashoka is on a space, some people are listening, from Uhuru to Kalonzo to who. You may not see their names, but you can be sure they're listening. So what I'm doing, I have to do Jamhuri for this country. But let me...
I mean, Tony, I think we both need, it needs to be it needs to be teamwork at this point. I mean, desperate times, sometimes it needs to be all hands on deck. The more time we give Ruto...
When you talk to me, because you remember the spaces were very rough in the beginning, you know. You can imagine when the spaces were there, they insulted everybody. So obviously, you know, people get worried that they look like they're interfering. And you're playing a good role, Mweru. You've been very consistent. And what I'm asking is, are we now reaching a point where, because of some egos or maybe some mistakes or whatever, we are giving Ruto so much space because we can't consolidate? What would you advise, and as you continue to reach out to the plenary?
Yeah, I think it's all hands on deck. And as we proceed with the conversation, I really want to sort of highlight the fact that the main goal for this conversation is to sort of come up with a plan on how to have Gen Z and some of the politicians who are older, we can come to a place where we can agree and work together. So the next person to speak is Mariam. And then when you're done speaking, please drop off from the mic so I can add more speakers. So Mariam, go ahead, followed by Kenyan Lady.
Thanks a lot. Good afternoon. And this is for Tony. That was music to my ears when I heard you say that, or rather suggest that we work with politicians of like mind, because it's something that I've been singing throughout this movement, that we need to pick some politicians who are like-minded and work with them, because going to the streets and passing bills need mobilization. It needs we need friends inside the lower house, very important place. But seemingly we demonize these people initially. So most of them who would have wanted to work with us went to the other side and got caught. You know, we all know that most of these guys are actually just surviving, and they know that their future in politics totally relies on Ruto exiting. Because if Ruto is going to hold that seat for the next elections, for the next term rather, we know that most of these guys will be kicked out, and they know it. The most important thing for them is to have some kind of security. They need to have some kind of assurance that they have numbers on the outside working with them. So Tony, I do agree with you that we need to pick politicians who are like-minded. I don't know why we've not mentioned someone like Babu yet. He's been very vocal.
Miriam, I want to have a conversation. There is nobody I cannot reach. You understand? Yeah, so what I want you to do, first of all, I've been listening to you on the spaces. You're a frequent participant on Point Blank. So my question is how history will judge me if I don't do my part. You know, I know Babu is really having a problem because of the Luo vote and what he has to do. But, you know, if he has Kalonzo in Embakasi, he can win. So what I'm trying to explain is that Babu alone is scared. You understand? But if you unite him, for example, and reorganize the forces, he can actually fight and come on this side. So what I'm trying to, for example, if today we were able to build a coalition of the Gen Zs with the Kalonzos, the Wamalwas, and you know the supporters of the former president, the fallout from Rigathi Gachagua. In terms of numbers, we are 60% fought against Ruto.
You're very right, Tony. And the good thing about some of these people being vocal that they're working with us and them being accepted by us, what it will do, there'll be a ripple effect. We'll see more people jumping ship from the other side to our side. So, Tony, I totally do agree with you that we need to work with politicians who are of like mind. And yeah,
I want to ask your help, because you and Mweru have really inspired me, and I'm going to be calling on these spaces often. And I've never hosted a space before. This is my first space, because normally I get friends to host it, but things are getting serious. So when I'm doing a space, some people don't know I'm on the space. You know, people who follow me on my contacts, like Uhuru Kenyatta and Kalonzo Musyoka and Eugene Wamalwa and Gideon Moi. There are so many people who, even if they are not going to be our leaders, they can come together and help us in this struggle. So what I'm trying to do today is begin a process of trying to integrate the younger minds with these people, including my friend Babu, who is very close to me. I mean, people call me every day. I mean, I just don't know how to bring people together. So I've decided the best way now is to open a space so that slowly people can start talking to each other, hasira zipungue, alafu to focus on this Idi Amin. Because if we know the enemy is Ruto, that's why everybody said angusha dereva, angusha makanga. Nobody cares about Gachagua. I don't. And I'm a Kikuyu. I don't give a damn that they impeached him. But I give a damn how easy they did it. I mean, they can do anything, Miriam.
No, that's very true, Tony. And sorry, Meru, I'm going to just go down now. And that's why I'm saying that most of these people, even the ones who are voting against someone like Gachagua, we know very well that they're doing it out of fear because they have no security. So, Tony, just start the process and, just do what you know is right and everyone will jump on it. As long as we have a strategy, everyone will come on board.
Thank you, Mariam. Let's go to Kenyan Lady, followed by Juma, then Lenny.
Thank you, Moiro. I hope you guys can hear me. So listen, this is a very important conversation, and I want to engage Tony for just a second, if he's willing.
I'm willing and ready. Yes.
Perfect. So listen to me. This is what I want to be hard. Okay. And the reason I want to be hard is because there has been for a very, very long time a division between the political elite and the regular person. And the problem is Kalonzo has been there the whole time. Let's stop beating about the bush. Let's stop, making this like it is so easy. Like, oh, let's bring this person so that you guys can talk and then we can be on the same page. No. Kalonzo has been there. People have been suffering when he has been there. He has had so many chances to help us out. He has had so many, and most of us young people do not even care. Most of us had to learn even our own languages after we finished high school, just because it's like, so who am I? You know what I mean?
So as we engage, I want to ask you something. You're contributing very well, but I in order we have a conversation, I wanted to tell you something about Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was the most unpopular of the leaders of the ANC. Do you know that? Could you listen so that you can contribute positively? I'm not forcing you to anything. I just want an honest conversation. I'm saying this is a historical fact. Nelson Mandela was really like Jomo Kenyatta was a passenger. Walter Sisulu and the rest were the drivers of the ANC. And Mandela, because of his jailing, got the sympathy and became the leader of the ANC. Jomo Kenyatta was anti-Mau Mau. He was never the leader. The leaders of the Mau Mau, Didan Kimathi and the rest, were never ever accolades. I'm only asking the question, and I have not made the decision. I'm asking the question where I'm seeing this country going. The infightings I'm seeing among young people, the lack of experience which is there, and Ruto and the way Ruto is marching with Baba. I saw Baba opening the door for Ruto in Germany and in the US. Raila Odinga, the mighty Raila Odinga, is now a flower girl of William Ruto. Parliament is a rubber stamp of William Ruto. And I'm asking Kenyans, as Tony Gashoka, I'm in Diani right now. I've never been in Nairobi for 7 years. I don't have to come, but I want to come and help. And if I come and help, I've got some friends I can call. And I can get them active. And you don't have to trust Kalonzo, but trust me. I'm telling you, I need to talk to some people because of the things that I'm seeing and where Ruto is going. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, and that's what I am saying. I feel silenced in the same conversation that we are asked to speak. I feel silenced at the same time because there's what I am trying to communicate. But then I feel like it's being watered down because I have to take, the point that you're bringing.
Are you questioning my integrity? Because I've raised an issue against what you are saying. I just raised an issue for you to.
No, I'm trying to.
No, I've said go ahead.
Trying to respond
I've said go ahead. But nobody has silenced you.
Okay.
Tony, Mauro nimega mambo inaenda poa sana Tony. Huyu dem anatuambia kitu poa sana. Hawa wasee wamekuwa hapo for a long time. Wamekuwa hapo wangechange hizo vitu. Hawaku change. Okay. How can we trust them that they have changed themselves?
Thank you.
Come on, man.
I'm not saying we trust them.
Come on.
Just give me 1 second, Tony. Respectfully, through the host. Just give me 1 second, and I want you to listen to me like you would listen to your 26-year-old who you have never sat down with to communicate with heart to heart. So
Hello?
we have had. Sorry.
What do you mean about that? Please go ahead and talk to the issue. Thank you. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, us as young people, we have never had that real bridge. It has always been the public against the political elite. It has always been the public and the political elite. And sometimes when we decide to be on one side, like for instance, we trusted, ODM for instance, they were the ones that were fighting 2023, the budget and whatnot. But see where we are at right now. So what is being asked of us, how I feel, is that we forget that we're not going to be looking for our sugar. We're not going to be looking for our JSS to be paid. We're not going to be fighting for IEBC, but to have a platform in which we can remove Ruto. I feel like we should address it. It's a lot that is intertwined. And I also want to say that from my following, I do know that the Kalonzo matter on the IEBC was rejected. Whoever the commissioners that he was bringing was rejected. And what I know from there is people who are really of goodwill, that are really to help the common wananchi, are the ones who are supposed to stand up. Because
I agree with you. What I'm asking, can Kalonzo come and you tell him that? Can you tell him that you've got the wrong people? I don't know if you think that I'm selling anyone. I'm not selling anyone.
That's where I'm going. That's where I was going. So if you can bring an audience in which we can first address the main issue and bridge. Because remember, it's you, it has been us, the public, versus you, the elite. And you've been there for a long time. So there's a lot that we need to bridge before we even get to a point into which we can work together. I've seen Morara get arrested. I have not seen Kalonzo even show up and just say, hey, huyu kijana, you know what I'm saying? And at the same time...
Can I correct you on something there? No, you're talking well and continue. When Morara was arrested, his private secretary called me. I called Eugene Wamalwa, who went and brought Martha Karua. So Morara is my friend. He has been on my space. And in fact, we were going to have a space with Morara today. So that's not true. When I did the Andani deal to stop Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and the case is coming up on the 17th, Kalonzo Musyoka has volunteered as a lead counsel. I'm only saying, look, excuse me, I want you to talk, but I don't think that if we're going to go anywhere in this country, we start from saying nobody can do any good. All I'm asking, we want to save Jomo Kenyatta. Right? So how do we do it? Go ahead.
Yeah, sir, I did not say that nobody can do any good. I'm saying that there are so many wounds. There's a lot of bridging that needs to be done.
Kenyan lady, try landing, please.
Yeah, I'm just landing in a second. It's okay. And then the other thing that I wanted to say, there is an importance in seeing a body. Because Tony Gashoka is here and I respect Tony Gashoka, I'm coming to his space because Tony Gashoka is there. If I see a body, if I see Kalonzo somewhere with somebody, things can change differently just because he is there as him. I land. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenyan lady, and that's exactly why Tony is hosting this space, because he's trying to establish if it's a good idea to invite Kalonzo here. So that was the main essence of this conversation. But next is Glassic. Glassic, please proceed.
Mwero, can I ask you a favor? Mwero, can I ask you a favor, please? A commentary on what the girl have said. Yani, we take it easy. Like we cannot trust people just like that, okay? Really, just like that, just like that. Just like that. Tony, Gashoka, unajua tuko na kazi mingi sana tumefanya. Na bado tuko na watoto. You guys, we have a future for our country. So hapa hautaki mchezo na tutabehave. Hata Kalonzo kikuja hautamtusi. I'm telling you, I assure you. Hautamtusi. Okay? Hata nani akitokea, we reason together, lakini hatutaki story.
I'm giving you my word. Mi naona umesikia mzee. Na mimi, I'm giving you my word, and I'm committing to my nation Kenya that I'm going to bring us together. I'm going to call Kalonzo after this space.
Tony, usituuze, Tony, please, usituuze.
Excuse me, unanijua. Kenya, mimi nasema hivi, I've never hosted a space in my life, but I've seen the country, the issue of trust is gone. And ndio mimi mzee na kusikia kwa umakini, and I'm not naive, and I'm not going to be begging Kalonzo. I'll be telling him off, but I can't tell him off in public. I'm listening very carefully to what Kenyans are saying.
Thank you. Tony, wacha nikwambie, from when space started, the third day I was in space. So space zinakuanga zangu hivi, nime lose 4 accounts, 5 accounts, it doesn't matter. Wacha nikwambie bro, hapa huyu jamaa, watu wote, sisi goal yetu ni accountability. Accountability. Stories zingine hatutaki story mob. Tony, kama umekula pesa ya wizi, mimi sijakula pesa ya wizi. Niko na watoto wangu, niko na bibi zangu nimenunua. Nafanyanga kazi every day bro. Nafanyanga kazi every day.
Mweru, can you move? I've had him. Yeah. Can you move on now?
Glassic, go ahead. Glass King, go ahead. All right, Titus, go ahead. Titus, Titus, please go ahead. Can you guys hear me? All right, Daniel, go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to weigh in on where Tony and especially where the lady was coming from, because I even had the same thing in mind when I had that Kalonzo would be hosted. The first thing I thought is, okay, fine, these guys have clout. We've seen them pretty much our entire lives. But I think if you call them forth, the only thing that most people will be jittery about is that yes, we want them with us because they have the clout, they have the power, they have the experience, they have the knowledge, they have the people, they have everything. But because of all the trauma, of all the mistakes that have come in the past, like their needs, because yes, we can have a rallying call that's saying, if you fight with us, you're one of us, fine. And that should be the rallying call. If you're fighting with us, you're one of us. But their needs, the Kalonzos of this world, they need to show us that they actually mean what they say, and they need to do politically inconvenient things. We need to see them when like call a press conference and be like, X and Y are missing. This is the parent. Nani is dead. This is the parent. We haven't seen them for 3 months. Where are they? We need to see them doing the politically inconvenient things.
Exactly.
Because then they will be like they have to do it. This is not an if, they have to.
What I'm saying, I'm agreeing with you. Exactly. And that's what I want to say to them. I'm just asking you, should I say it to them or not?
Yeah. Sorry. I thought you wanted to say. I'm saying we have to see. In fact, we should not close this door for anyone. We should not close this door for Babu. We should not close this door for the MPs. Even right now, I know there are a lot of Mount Kenya MPs that are angry. And I also refuse to believe that our parliament is filled with sociopaths and psychopaths. I refuse to believe that. there has to be people there who, though they are like they're like they have walls of inconvenient. You have Ruto over here, you have security over here, you have money over here. Like they have all these walls that are preventing them. But I refuse to believe that if you really
so I want to ask you, you're contributing very well.
Not follow.
You're contributing very well. I want to ask you a question. Remember the question of the topic today. Is Ruto the next Amin Dada? And I ask you this because if we don't, you know, right now we are arguing whether we can organize or not organize. But are you not seeing the way Ruto has advanced? Are you not seeing what Ruto is becoming? And if we are late and we continue these arguments, by the time we wake up, there will be no Kenya.
I 100% agree. I'm actually being solution oriented. I'm saying call them, all of them, as many as we can. We need all forces marshaled. But in order to quell these jitters of the people, because you do not want other squabbles coming up when you're actually facing the enemy. So like when the Kalonzos of this world come here, they need to first know when we get there is a trust deficit.
Mimi nataka ukuje umwambie Kalonzo hivyo. Wacha kuambia Tony Gashoka. What I'm saying, when Kalonzo comes here, tell him that. Don't tell me.
Sawa.
Amweru, endelea.
Juma, go ahead. All right, Fred, proceed.
Thank you, Mweru. I think it is...
Hello, sorry.
So, Ruto...
Hello, may I speak?
Juma, I'll have you speak after Fred is done. Just wait a second.
So my issue is our parliament, the 13th parliament, is a house of fools. As you see, hiyo maneno vile wameifanya na haraka ni kama kuna mahali tunaenda. So most of Kenyans we oppose, tukasema kufa makanga, kufa dereva. So you cannot tell people because these two guys are thieves, we can chase one thief. So you chase a pickpocketer and also you remain with the robber. It's unfair. So Ruto, for somebody who has not discovered that there is a next Amini, I discovered on, I think it was 007. So when I discovered that this person is not a good person. So most of young generation who voted for this guy, now they have realized that this person is not a good person. Kenya is heading in a wrong direction, Mr. Tony. The way I say, the way you say, we are in the course. So we need those leaders that you are mentioning, they should have to join us. So tunapoenda maandamano, we were saying that this we are
to join, sivyo?
So we see at West we are saying that we were against bad governance.
Kama Saida Madama alishikwa, uliona wote walikuwa hapo, Martha Karua, Wamalwa, mpaka jaji akaogopa.
So we need that support. We cannot say that as young generation we can have our agenda to remove root ourselves. We need experienced people so that they will assist us to chase this guy out of power. The guy has been rooting the resources of this country. So we are watching mambo na SIF, mambo na abduction. Most of young generation of Kenyans have died because of opposing Ruto with his bad governance. So punge imetekwa nyara.
Kwa sababu Mweru anataka kumove the mic, nikuulize hivi. Huyu Kalonzo akikuja waende kanisa na Gachagua Nyeri on Sunday, sahi wako US. Utakuwa aje? Unanielewa? Yani huyu mtu tumjibu kisiasa.
So I mean it is no problem. We must show Mr. Ruto that Kenya is more important than William Ruto. Mimi sikuwa expect kwamba Raila Amolo Odinga he might go to bed with a thief. So it is very unfortunate to see all kinds of inhumanity issues
Mzee, nimekusikia. Wacha to move mic juu nataka watu wengi wa Kenya waongee juu mimi nimekasirika. I must make some phone calls. We can't allow this thing of Gachagua. You know, I don't even know him. But I am going to, even me, I'll go to Nyeri. I'll go there with Kalonzo myself, if necessary, because we have to take this anger. We have to take this anger. Yeah.
Tufini, the main agenda ya kufukuza Gachagua ni hao wabunge wako na maki juu he didn't support the finance bill. So there was an agenda.
What I'm saying, forget Gachagua. Anyway, Mweru, forget Gachagua. But what do we do now that people are angry? Mimi nataka kuambia Kalonzo amke. Mweru, move the mic. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Juma. Juma, can you hear me? Juma, then Kim, then Wainaina, then data activist, then humanitarian.
Oh, yes, I can hear you. Well, thank you so much. Tony, I think the idea of inviting Kalonzo and anybody else who is willing to contribute to this cause is welcomed. We need the support of everybody because this is such a complex and a difficult task that requires contribution from many people. We need collective approach towards this cause. But we must also recognize that we are in a very difficult situation. What we are seeing from William Ruto is an attempt to consolidate power and become an authoritarian, a dictator. And if we allow a dictatorship to encroach into our country at this point, then we are all done. We are all going to die. Because we're living at a time when we face a lot of adversity. We face so many adversaries. We're in a worse position than our grandfathers were. This is not even in the 90s. We are in a worse situation than in the 90s. So if you give us a dictator at this point in time, and we have a debt, we are paying almost more than 70% of our GDP goes to paying debt. It will get to 90, even more than 100 at some point, because if we allow these guys to keep on stealing the way they are stealing and to keep on pursuing the kind of destructive policies that they continue pursuing, we're going to end up with no country here. And the bad thing is that the most unfortunate situation that we are in right now is that we will not have anywhere to go to. We are at a time when we cannot even go to Europe. We cannot migrate to any other place. We can't migrate to Somalia. This is the only country we have. So yes, it is a good idea to invite anybody who is genuinely interested in saving this country. We have to invite them on board. But if Kalonzo comes on board or anybody else, they must be ready to be interrogated.
I'm not interrupting you. What I'm asking Kenyans to help me, wakikuja muwaambie, unajua, wacha kuniambia mimi. Unaelewa, what I want to do is create the conversation. Do I do it or, because they have their own mouth and their own ears. You know, because what else do we have? Kalonzo ni Mkenya, alikufa na Kibaki, and he saved Kenya. That guy has supported Raila 3 times. I don't think he's as bad as others are. I'm not saying he's as good but at this point, what do we have? I was counting the MPs yesterday who voted. I was so impressed that every Kamba MP, voted against that motion. In fact, only 2 who are with Alfred Mutua voted. All the other MPs of all other parties, including ODM, went. And so I asked myself, have I been underestimating this guy? Is because he doesn't have a Tony Gashoka in his life. Maybe he doesn't have somebody as forceful as me. That we have allowed the watermelon and all this to stick on him. Na nikiamuka niambie wa Kenya, mimi nataka kusaidia hii mzee. Na ndio mimi nasema leo as TG. Yani mimi nimechoka. Yani naangalia na naona tu giza. Lakini unajua mkubwa leo ni Mweru. Yeye ndio atasema vile watu wanaongea.
Yeah, next is Kim, followed by Wainaina, then data activist.
I think I did not land yet.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that.
All right. Okay, fine. Tony, I agree with you. And invite him, and then we will reason together.
I give you my word of honor. And as I said, if you look at the people who follow me, Kalonzo is following. And right now he's in Washington and he's listening to what we are saying.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I promise.
team, proceed.
Yeah.
Team 001.
Hello, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Yeah, I think I'll start by saying that I'm really happy that Tony Gashoka has said Kalonzo is listening, because I feel some of these things need to be addressed as early as now. I think as one of the young generation people, we are really open to including everyone of a common cause, of a common goal towards liberating Kenya, getting the Kenya we want. But also, we need to remember now that he's been in office as a leader, some of us might have a few questions. I think we're knowledgeable enough to know the line between insults and really getting to ask issues that might need address, because if you really put them for the future, then you're just creating an avenue of polarization later on. Then I think, for me, I think that is something that should be let happen.
Wacha nikuulize. Let me ask you something in raw terms.
Okay.
Huyu mtu tukimwacha na Omni powerful, tumwoshe naelewa mabavu. Do you have a chance against Ruto?
Kim, are you going to respond to that?
Remove the mic. That's fine.
All right, we have Wainaina, Mr. Wainaina. Oh, Wainaina, yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'm of the opinion that right now it's the time to move from activism to politicizing. And I think right now, some of the politicians we've never seen, personally, some of them that you're suggesting, I've never seen eye to eye with them politically. But I think it's the time when we should now start saying the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and work together to bring Ruto down. Because the things that are happening, actually, I'm very surprised that even the people that we're talking about haven't said anything about the bill that is in the parliament right now about extending the term for president. And I think those are some of the issues that they should come out and say where they stand, so that we can know if they stand with the people and if they don't stand with the people. Because
the most important thing you said, I'm not interrupting you, is that point. And by the way, I want to say this so that you continue, so that this space can have a lot of value today. I want to put it on public record why I disagreed with Raila Odinga, and that was a critical part. And please keep your thoughts on that issue, because I did not participate in the last general election. But when Raila began the Maandamano, we met with him at Riverside Drive. And he hosted a meeting where Makau Mutua was a coordinator. His sister was there, Ruth Odinga, James Orengo, Amolo Otiende, Oledema, and several people. And Raila said, look, we lost this election, but Ruto has been elected. I want to give him a chance to govern. But the first thing Ruto has done, he has bought MPs of ODM. And by buying MPs of ODM, he has now taken the majority of Azimio and put it in Kenya Kwanza. And if we allow him to do this is Raila speaking where I'm present personally. If we allow him to do this, he'll become like Museveni and Kagame. In other words, Raila was raising an issue of how by capturing parliament, where Azimio had won more MPs, and Azimio was meant to be an opposition, young Kenyans, that we've had official opposition leader. We've had Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. We have had Mwai Kibaki. We have had Wamalwa Kijana. We have had Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. In other words, even where there was a government, we had an official opposition leader. So what Ruto did from day one was to buy the opposition. And that became the journey toward taking over the opposition. So what shocks me is now that ODM yesterday joined him, that there is no longer any shame. They are not hiding. They are all in, which means that as we speak, 90% of Kenyan's parliament is in William Ruto's pocket. And that's why I asked the question, is William Ruto, Dada, endelea kijana, ama mzee, I don't know your age.
Okay. So personally, I think he is on the road to become a dictator. Honestly, he is on the road to become a dictator. But also another thing, so another reason why people are a little bit apprehensive when you're saying about inviting the politicians here is the same thing that you said. 2 years ago, Raila was totally against Ruto. Right now, he is in bed with Ruto. What is to say that if we bring these politicians in, 2 years from now, they won't go and just do the same thing? So it's because the political nini in Kenya is...
So nakuuliza juu na land vizuri, si tukuje tuanike hao watu hapa, mwache kuniwachia hii kazi peke yangu. My question is only one. Nilete hao watu muanike ama nisiwalete? Unaelewa? You're confusing me. Because when will you talk to them? Will you talk to them by just being quiet? Ama tukae tu?
Okay, I think we need the political muscle, and it would be very important for the movement, for the political muscle to be part of this. But before they come in, they should actually now state whether they are part of the movement fully. And as a previous speaker has said, they should be ready to do politically inconvenient things for the sake of the Kenyans.
So kazi yako itakuwa nini? Mimi talete Kalonzo, lakini mimi sitamwambia, nyinyi ndio mtamwambia. Si kama tuelewani. Yani mimi simleti aende kanisa, sinamlete mchape. Mwambie vile mnataka.
I personally am for the. I personally am at the point where I think we need now political muscle. We've done a lot of activism. We've done a lot of civil education. Now it's time to play the political mchezo wa town.
Ya mwisho, unafikiri Ruto atalala akisikia Tony Gashoko ameleta Kalonzo kwa space? Unafikiri atalala siku hiyo? Unajua huyu Zakayo lazima tumpatie shindano from time to time. Tuwezi kumpatia kina Murala, anawachukua. Kwa nini achukui Kalonzo? Anachukua Murala, anachukua Karono. Unajua hata watu wengine, unajua hata nyinyi muangalie game. How come he's taking the lightweights? Kwa nini asiarrest Karua ama Kalonzo? Sasa mimi nakwambia hivi, mimi nataka ni vile si kulala vizuri. I'm very concerned because I can help this country. Mweru?
Yeah, let's hear from data activists, then humanitarian, then Wanyo.
Thank you, Mweru. Thank you, TG, for the space. And this is my take. Yeah, me, I'm all for you bringing Kalonzo on space, but I am only one vote. So this is my suggestion, my proposal, that we do a poll or a survey that caters for, let's say, 2,000 guys, because on this space right now we are slightly below 400, and you're not going to get views from everyone. If you had, let's say, like 2,000 guys, we ask them a number of questions, we get to know what they want, who they want, based on preference and so on. That way, you'll be able to know exactly who people want more than any other, and we'll be able to ask more questions. It can be even just 5, for example. And that will give you a more informed decision when you make it. That's my suggestion. Tony, over to you.
Tony, please refresh the space. Tony, do you hear us? Okay, go ahead, Humanitarian.
I wish he's hearing, because I've personally I've kept aside my personal feelings for the politicians. I never want to relate with any of them, but no, guys, there's something. If we can use them for something, then let's. So my idea was, if Kalonzo is brought here, we need to just focus directly on insisting on IBC, because we need some push from internally. I don't know what's happening. Okay, we know what's happening, why he's not forming IBC, but if we can just spend like an hour really pushing him and looking at all the avenues that we can touch so that we form IBC, because he is Idi Amin. He's definitely Idi Amin, and he's consolidated all arms of the government. We need one arm of the government. We can do this as the people if we're willing to go to the streets, all millions of us. But then if it's a group of people, if it's this group of people that we're fighting, if it's a particular group of people, we've not had all Kenyans on board yet. We've seen that on the streets. We need an arm of the government. We need less